Body to the practice solving graph inequalities. Okay, number one, we have to write an inequality to represent this graph below. We look at number one, we see that it has a closed circle and it's going to the right. So that means to write this inequality, let's just choose a different color. We're going to start with our variable, any letter, we'll just use x, and it's going to the right. So that means either one of these two, either this symbol or this one. So this one is greater than, this one is greater than or equal to, because it has that line. The difference between the two is that when you have an open circle, that's going to be this symbol here. Less than or greater than, those are open circles. When you have this symbol on the right, or equal to, that means it must be a closed circle. So that means we have to get rid of this one, and this is the symbol that we need for inequality. This says greater than or equal to, and what number does it start on? It starts on 0. So our inequality is x is greater than or equal to 0. So this is choice D. Okay, number 2. Again, always look at our circle. This one is closed as well. That leaves our only two choices with less than or equal. Notice the arrow is going to the left, so numbers that are smaller. So we can again start with our variable for number 2. So x, this time it's less than or equal to. And what number is it starting on? Well, we see this is between 10 and 12, and the whole number between 10 and 12 is 11. So our inequality, x is less than or equal to 11. So this is choice C. Let me actually just move these down a little bit so it's not confusing for you. Get some space. All right. Number 3, we have another graph. This time it's an open circle. So again, let's start with our variable, x. And the arrow is going to the right. So that means the numbers are greater in that direction. So we need this inequality symbol, greater than. And which number does it start on? So it's in between 10 and 12, and we know the number that's after 10 but before 12 is 11. So x is greater than 11. This is choice B. Moving to number 4, we have another inequality. This time it's an open. Starts on number 5. That's where our circle begins. So x is less than 5. This is choice A. All right, we're halfway through already. From this point, we're going to begin to solve and graph. So number 5, we have to solve and graph this inequality. 3y is greater than 15. Now, we know how to solve equations. We spent a long time doing. Solving an inequality is pretty much the same thing. So if, for example, if it said 3y is equal to 15, what would we do? Well, we see an equal sign, we draw the line. Okay, well, same thing we do with an inequality. Now, inequality will not have an equal sign. It's either going to have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. But we're going to treat these as equal signs, meaning that we're going to draw a line when we see the symbol to help us separate terms on the left side of the inequality, in this case 3y, from any terms that are on the right side of the inequality, in this case positive 15. Okay, so they have the same first step. Equal sign, draw the line. In this case, inequality symbol, draw the line. Now we're going to look for the same thing we normally would with an equation. So which operation do we see? Well, we want to get y by itself on the left side, but it says 3y. And we know that a number, which is a coefficient, next to a variable, that means multiplication. So 3y is really 3 times y. So if we're looking at multiplication, we still have to do the inverse or opposite operation. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide. And we divide by whatever is in front of our variable, in this case the number 3. Again, that is our coefficient. Coefficient is just a number in front of the variable that's multiplying it. And just like an equation, whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other side. So also divide that by 3. Now on the left side, 3 divided by itself is 1. We don't have to put 1, just cancel them out. Bring down our variable y. Bring down our inequality symbol, which is greater than. Actually, let me just erase that so you can see better. Greater than, and 15 divided by 3 is going to be 5. So y is greater than 5. But we're not done. It says to solve and graph. So graphing is actually pretty easy. All we have to do is just draw a short number line. It doesn't have to be long. And we don't even have to include like every single number. We don't have to do like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't have to do that. So instead of doing that, I find a very easy way to graph is you start in the middle with your number, your constant, which this time is 5. And then you just give me one number that's greater. So after 5 is 6. And one number smaller than 5. So smaller than 5 is 4. And that's it for your number line as far as adding numbers. Now all you do, you also start with a circle where your solution is. So the number 5, I'm going to start there. And I'll do it in a different color so you can see a little easier. I'll go with black. So we're going to put a circle on the 5. And it says y is greater than 5. So numbers that are bigger than 5 are to the right. So we're just going to move there. So our arrow is connected to our circle and it's moving to the right. Now we're done now, but sometimes we may forget like which is which one is less than, which one is greater than. I find something very helpful, which I'll share here with you, that will help you to remember the difference. So less than looks like an L, and if that's not enough of a help, in terms of the direction the arrow goes, if you simply just draw the line, look, well, let me make it a little neater for you. So just draw the line, and look, it's pointing to the left. So this is less than. The other direction, if I have this symbol, greater than, you do the same thing. Connect the line, and look, it's telling you this goes to the right. So this means greater than. Okay, nice, easy tip to help you remember when your arrow will go to the left or when it will go to the right. So again, just draw your symbol, draw the line, that means less than. Draw the symbol, draw the line, that means greater than. Okay, so try to remember that. I'll just erase that for the time being. And we'll move to number 6. So number 6 has another inequality. Actually, before we move on, sorry, we have to put the solution. And for number 5, our answer was choice C. Also remember, one of the other differences between an equation and an inequality is an equation would just have one answer, one solution, such as y equals 5. That means if I substitute it into, if it was an equation, 3 times 5 is 15. 15 would be equal to 15. That's the only number that would make that true. But within inequality, it has more than one possible correct answer. That's why it's called a solution set. So when we say y or any number is greater than 5, that could be anything. It could be 6, 7, 8, 100, 6.2, 7 and 2/5. Like any number that's greater than 5 would make that true. For example, if we substitute, and let's say I chose, I don't know, let's say 6.5. All right, if I want to see if that works, 3 times 6.5 would be 19.5, which is greater than 15, so that's true. If I didn't want 6.5, I could choose something else. Let's say 10. 10 is greater than 5, so I could choose that. 3 times 10 is 30. That's also greater than 15. So as you can see, an inequality will have more than one correct solution. Okay, so that's a big difference between inequality and an equation. Okay, so now let's get back into the next question, which is number 6. So number 6, we once again have to solve an inequality and graph it. So same thing, pretend it's an equation, equal sign, draw the line. But okay, inequality is no equal sign, but we do have the symbol, inequality symbol, draw the line. So this one says 3t minus 12 is less than or equal to negative 9. I just made the t capital so it doesn't look like a addition sign like that. So I just wrote it with a capital T. So what we want to do is to isolate or get t by itself. To do that, we have to get rid of that constant next to it, the negative 12. And the inverse, opposite of negative, is positive. So I need to add 12 to both sides. That's my first step. We haven't done anything with the 3t yet. That's okay. Let's bring it down. So 3t. Negative 12 plus 12 is 0, so just cancel that. Let's bring down our inequality symbol, less than or equal to. And negative 9 plus 12 is going to give us 3. Now be careful when you're adding and subtracting positives and negatives. Remember your rules, such as KCC, keep, change, if it's subtracting. If it's not subtracting, like here, we have two different signs with the negative and the positive. Anytime they're different, you subtract the integers, so 12 minus 9 is 3, and you keep the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. So 12 was the bigger number, and it has a positive sign, so that's positive 3. If you don't want to remember your integer rules, what you should do also is to just double check on your calculator just to make sure. So negative 9 plus 12, as you see here, is positive 3. So very important to just make sure you're adding and subtracting properly, because if that's incorrect, then when you get to graphing, your solution is also going to be incorrect. Okay. So now we have 3t. Again, we know that that is multiplication, 3 times t. So if we're looking at multiplication, we undo it with its opposite operation, or inverse. So we have to divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by itself is 1. We don't have to put 1, just cancel that. Bring down t and our inequality symbol, less than or equal to. 3 divided by 3 is 1. We do want to put the number 1 here because we do need some number to go here. We need to figure out where a number line will start. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. Let's put 1. This is our solution. T is less than or equal to positive 1, which is choice D. But before we finish, of course, we have to solve, which we did, and we have to graph, which we're going to do now. So remember the easy way to graph. You don't have to go crazy on the number line. Just put 3 numbers. Take your solution. This time our solution was the number 1. put it in the middle. Also, you want to put your circle in the middle as well. Okay, on your solution. We'll decide open or close in a second. But you put your solution in the middle, then you put the number that's after it. So bigger than 1, we have 2. Smaller than 1, we have 0. Okay, your numbers are done on your number line. You have a circle. Only question, is it open or closed? So again, if we have any of these symbols, regular, less than, or greater than, open circle. If we have any of these two symbols, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, we need a closed circle. Again, this is from your notes. Make sure you look back on them if you have any questions. So we know that our black circle here should be a closed circle, since it says t is less than or equal to 1. Again, we know or equal to, it has that little line at the bottom. So let's go back and let's shade in our circle. So it's closed now. And remember our little trick, we put the symbol, we draw the line, and it will tell us the direction to go. So we have to go to the left. So numbers smaller than 1 are to the left. That's why we move to the left there. Okay, and now we are done with number 6. So let's erase this. We'll keep this around in case you have a question about open or closed circles. And we'll go to number 7. So number 7, we have a word problem. It says Peter earns $9 per hour, plus an additional $100 in tips for delivering pizza. He earned more than $145. How many hours could Peter have worked on Saturday? So just like an equation word problem, with an inequality word problem, we want to take it apart piece by piece. So first it says Peter earned $9 per hour, so we're going to put 9. Per hour, we don't know how many hours he worked, and just like an equation, when you are unsure of the number that should be represented, you use a variable. So I'm going to use h for hours. Then it says plus, so that obviously means plus. An additional $100 in tips, so 100. And he ended up earning more than, so that's greater than, $145. So let me just move this over. And now that is our inequality. So just like an equation, we're going to solve it using inverse operations. So just like equal sign, draw the line. This time we have inequality symbol, draw the line. Same thing. Next, we want to get the variable h by itself, but the term next to it says plus 100. So the inverse or opposite, balance the inequality, do the same thing to both sides. So 9h we haven't done anything with yet. That's okay, just bring it down. 100 minus 100 is 0. Don't put 0, just cancel it out. Bring down your inequality symbol, the greater than. And 145 minus 100 is just 45. Now we're down to our last step to solve this. And what operation do we see? Well, we see multiplication. It says 9h. That means 9 times h. So since we're looking at multiplication, we undo it with the opposite operation. Opposite of multiplying is division. So we divide by 9 on both sides. 9 divided by itself is 1. So just cancel that. Bring down our variable h and our symbol greater than. 45 divided by 9 is 5. So our inequality statement will say h is greater than 5. So Peter could have worked, to answer the question, more than 5 hours. Okay, so 6 hours, 5.5, 8 hours. Anything greater than 5 hours would allow him to earn more than $145. All right, we don't have to graph that. So we'll go to number 8, our final question here. And number 8 is another word problem. This one says Tia earns $30 per day and $5 for every sale that she makes at her job. Due to the snowstorm on Thursday, she earned less than $80. How many sales could she have made? Okay, so again, let's just take it apart piece by piece. Tia earns $30 per day. So it's speaking just about yesterday, so that's 30. And means plus, we remember that. $5 for every sale, so 5. But we don't know how many sales, so we need to put a variable. You can use any letter. I'm not going to use S because that also might look like a 5. So I'll just use, I don't know, X. You could use any letter. And because of the snowstorm, she earned less than, so that means obviously less than, and $80. So 80. So now we have set up our inequality, and we just have to solve it. So just like equal sign, draw the line, well, inequality symbol, draw the line, same idea. Now we want to get x by itself, but the term that's in front of it is a positive 30, so we have to get rid of that by subtracting 30. It's inverse operation. Do that to both sides. 30 minus itself is 0, just cancel that. Bring down the 5x that you haven't used yet. Bring down the symbol you haven't used yet, so less than. 80 minus 30 is going to give us 50. And now what operation are we looking at? It's multiplication. 5x is 5 times x. So instead of multiplying, we do the inverse. Opposite again, we divide by that coefficient of 5. Make sure you go same thing on both sides. 5 divided by itself is 1. Just cancel those. Bring down the x. Bring down the less than symbol. And 50 divided by 5 is 10. So to answer this question, how many sales could Tia have made? Well, she could have made less than 10 sales. All right, so thank you for joining. Make sure you ask if you have questions, rewatch the video, pause, and practice, and I'll see you on the next one.